The evolution of roller skating into a unique sport has undergone several boom and bust cycles throughout the last century. Roller derby's inception began very modestly in the mid-1930s. It was hardly a sport, more of a show really, an endurance race. In its infancy, it turned into a crowd pleaser and quickly a spectacle. By the late 1940s, roller derby debuted on New York television. The broadcasts increased spectator turnout for live matches. The fledgling sport was viewed by more Americans and had more of a fan base than any televised football or wrestling event in its time. A year later, Seltzer formed the National Roller Derby League. It would go on to sell out Madison Square Garden and hold a national audience. Throughout the 1950s, the sport was broadcast on several television networks, and roller derby became a household name. Roller Games was the name of a sports entertainment spectacle created in the early 1960s in California as a rival to the Jerry Seltzer-owned Roller Derby League. Roller Games provided a mostly televised, increasingly theatrical version of the sport, including popularity on the big screen, with the Kansas City Bombers starring Raquel Welch. But, eventually, attendance declined. Roller Games was a U.S. television series that presented a theatrical version of the sport of roller derby for a national audience. Roller Games premiered in 95% of the country, and though generally panned by critics, was well received by a new, young audience. Roller Games aired late at night against Saturday Night Live. The show's ratings were quite good, even beating out American Gladiators. Roller Jam was an American television series, the first attempt to bring roller derby to TV. It lasted just 2 years. Roller Games and Roller Jam had a niche market and did fairly well, but eventually ended without long-term success. Why? Roller derby went from being a legitimate sport to fiction. Both Roller Games and Roller Jam were scripted. Die-hard fans turned off the television, and the sports once again turned into a spectacle. Does roller derby have a national audience worthy of a televised sport? The answer is yes. Since 2002, roller derby has taken on a life of its own. As of today, there are over 1,200 independent leagues worldwide, 727 leagues in the United States alone. Roller derby is currently under consideration for the 2020 Olympics. The original co-ed sport is now dominated by women. A new generation with new fashion, a new culture, and a new audience. This is not your grandmother's roller derby. Hundreds of thousands of devoted fans have made roller derby not only empowering for women, but sexy and sellable. Box office movies such as Whip It and a number of independent documentaries is evidence that the sport has an audience and a profitable market. It has once again become a household name. This time as sport for the ladies. Our proposal? Give the fans what they want. Roller derby already has a base of devoted fans that will support a revival that will not only embrace the game of the old, but the concept of the new. Legitimize roller derby for a national audience. We want to create the NFL of roller derby. The league will be made up of real people, real players from across the country, inviting all 1,200 roller derby leagues to attend national tryouts. Select the best of the best to represent the league. Real players, not paid actors. Real competitive games with no scripted scenarios. A real national women's-only sport. Who will watch besides the current devoted fans? The youth market. Young teens, along with the 18 to 25-year-old demographic, will make up a large minority of the audience. The majority of new reality sports programming is the college market. Several networks make millions off this population. Televised roller derby will inherit the fan base. This is our sport, our game, our time.